Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. First of all, in those challenging times, we hope that you are as safe as possible, as well as your family, friends, and colleagues. In the name of EFMA and Capgemini, I'm delighted to welcome you at the Financial NewTech Challenge 2020 ceremony online. Indeed, the ceremony was due to be held during our physical EFMA conference, Bank plus FinTech, earlier in April in Berlin, but for the reason you know, we had to transform this into an online ceremony. We have today participants from 54 different countries and from all continents. You might argue that we have no one from Antarctica, but this is probably because there's not really a strong high-tech technology over there. Now, I have 4 housekeeping points for you before we start. First of all, the microphones, as you might have noticed, of participants will be muted during the whole ceremony. Nevertheless, via the chat box or conversation box, you can make a comment or raise a question that will feed our interaction with the different speakers. Third, don't hesitate to make the buzz via social media. Hashtags are at the bottom of the screen, and especially when we announce the speakers along the ceremony, and the participants and the winners, of course. And finally, the session is recorded and will be made available on our website to be replayed at any moment. So without delay, let me introduce you to our 2 hosts of the day. John Berry, our new CEO at EFMA. Hi, John.
Hi there.
And Elias Ganem, Global Head of Market Intelligence, Financial Services, Capgemini. Hi, Elias.
Good morning to all.
Welcome to both of you. I think we're all set up. I hope you will enjoy the ceremony. And now over to you, John.
Thank you, Philippe. Welcome, everybody. It's a great opportunity today for me to introduce the Financial NewTech Challenge. EFMA have been working with Capgemini for some significant time now, and we have a superb relationship with them and have built this FinTechVisor environment in a world where perhaps up until the time of the virus, it was maybe a little bit uphill for the work that was required. But of course, the virus has created significant change across financial services. And the world of FinTech, the world of digital is now far more in the immediate eyesight of every banking organization around the globe. So from a timing perspective, this is a superb opportunity to see some fantastic ideas that have come from around the globe and for us to share those successes today. So let me pass across to Elias, who's going to take us through the day and share some of the insights on the report that they produced as well. Elias, over to you.
Thank you, John. And thank you everybody for joining us from around the world today. As John mentioned, the world has changed. The world has accelerated. And if there is a great winner, is really the digital. And in fact, a few weeks ago, we launched the World FinTech Report. The World FinTech Report is one of the main publications that we do at Capgemini to give a point of view about what is happening outside. And the key title of the World FinTech Report is From Disruption to Maturity. What has happened for the last few years? The FinTech were coming, and now they are real. They are really changing the world. And I think they are one of the main component of the post-COVID situation. 4 messages that for us are important into this FinTech report, as you could see there on the screen. And please, again, go there on the social media and mention them. We talk a lot about effective collaboration. It's not about making things fancy, it's making things at scale. Applied innovation, move away from the open innovation that only delivers POC into the applied innovation that delivers at scale, innovation at scale. Of course, OpenX, we're going to see it just after, is about a new ecosystem. And the WFTR is our way to call it the World FinTech Report. Next, please. So what can we say about it here? Well, first, what is OpenX? I mentioned about it before. Well, OpenX is the new way we describe the world. It's an evolution of a seamless exchange of data and resources, combined with an expedited product innovation that delivers an experience that the customer looks. And this OpenX is a consequence of 4 major paradigms, as you could see it as we speak. Well, first, we evolved from a product to an experience. Second, we evolved from an asset-heavy to a data rich. Third, we evolved from an ownership where I do it all myself to a very shared access. And finally, we evolved from the build and buy, which is expensive and lengthy, to the partnership. This is what OpenX. And if I were to put it in a nice way for the bankers is evolve from a universal bank, as you could see it on the right of the screen, towards a more inventive bank, where you have a specialized role. Either you are a supplier, i.e. you produce and other delivers, or you are an aggregator. You take somebody else's product and you push it to the market. And finally, you could be an orchestrator where you create the ecosystem. The orchestrator is a role that today the Amazon of the world or the Netflix of the world are working very well in this open platform. So basically for us, OpenX is evolving to an inventive banking, where each one of us has a special role and where there's an ecosystem that comes to play. So in conclusion, to generate maximum value, it's about leveraging what each of us does very well. Next, please. So the only problem is, as we talk a lot about changing the front, the problem we have identified in the FinTech report is the middle and the back office are quite poor. What do we mean by that? Look at the left side of the chart where we create an iceberg picture. The front looks fancy, looks modern, looks clean, but the middle and the back is paper-based documentation, legacy system, cumbersome manual processes, high maintenance costs. And when we look at the right side of the screen, in the World FinTech report, we evaluated the investment. And good news, there is 4% annual growth in the spending, in the IT spending between 2016 and 2019. And even better, the new IT versus maintenance jumped to become 1/3. So things should look fine. So when we engage with the consumer and we ask them, the consumers see a lack of customer experience improvement. When we ask them, they tell us 50% do not have an integrated banking experience, 60% are not able to make direct banking payment. And I think the bottom right is unfortunately the worst of them. There is, in the UK, in 2018, 56% of abandonment rate in UK banks. That shows that it's not only we have to do it fancy at the front, we need to be able to stable and solid in the back. Next. So what is it? How do we remain relevant? Well, to remain relevant, it's about collaboration at scale with FinTech. And the three takeaways that you are getting on the screen are, first, banks must board the last train of relevancy. We call it the OpenX Express. And that's to survive by leveraging the FinTech across the whole value chain. The second important message is the last mile is the visible result of the customer experience. But behind the scene, the middle and the back office operation need also improvement to improve on the customer experience. So what's the consequences of all that? Well, act now, act together, and act at scale. Collaborate at scale toward an industrialization of the innovation. To do it, you need to be very structured. And that's why today it's a great moment for us to create this event, which is all about effective collaboration. And I think the conclusion here is that once disruptors, the non-traditional players have matured now. Banks need to quickly capitalize on this opportunity with FinTech as catalyst to offer the best experience. Next, please. Now, we were writing this report and something big was happening. Well, the COVID was happening and the pandemic crisis skyrocketed the demand for a better customer experience. So on the left side, when we engage with the customer, say, how happy are you today? Overall, everybody was quite satisfied. But look at the right side of the screen. More than 35% of 11,000 consumers that we interviewed across 11 most mature markets, 35% of them told us that they discovered a new financial provider who helped them better in current environment and will continue using them after the crisis. So basically, The customer relationship, the value-added services, and the immersive experience are challenging the loyalty during the COVID-19 crisis. So it's a message, an alert message for the banks. It's time for the banks to be offering what the customer look for. 35% is one of 3 customers that is saying, during COVID, I discovered something else and I will probably continue using it. Next, please. So the COVID-19 is really a vicious cycle. On one hand, when things go wrong, banks stop investing, everybody. The only problem is banks need to scale up through their offering, either by investing or by partnering. And finally, the fintech who do offer the right experience need money. And we would all have read that banking startups are missing funding lately. And so what's the way? How can we solve that? Well, the vicious circle is we don't invest and banks don't offer the right experience and fintech die. The right experience, the virtuous cycle, is banks and fintech work together, and instead of investing, the banks pay the service of the fintech on a collaboration model, and now banks has an innovative solution, fintech have funding, and we turn it into a virtuous cycle. So this is the opportunity, and that's why today our event comes quite well on time, as John mentioned, because it's all about effective collaboration. Next, please. And now, to reflect on what we just said so far, I'd like to invite Sudhir Pai. Sudhir is our Chief Technology and Innovation Officer at Capgemini, and he has a very good concept about describing the new normal. Sudhir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Elias, and I hope all of you are able to hear me well and see as well. So I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes and expanding what Elias started to build on. So all of you, I'm sure, are hearing a new term today in the industry, which is called new normal. So most of our clients are saying, industry is saying, we would like to go into a new normal. Now, what does new normal mean, and what are the implications for startups when you talk about new normal? Now, new normal is a state which is a post-COVID state, and many of these things might change during the post-COVID state, which I sort of classified into 3 categories. So first is operational resilience, that is focusing on mostly here and now requirements, workarounds, remote working arrangements, new ways of working, new checks and balances for people, for projects, as well as looking at increased way of building trust for remote workforces, building communication, motivation, and all these things. So this is part of operational resilience. And to be honest, there's lots of opportunities that have arisen in this area itself because things have not thought through before have come into precedence. The second area of focus for most of our clients is around business as unusual. That means where will they focus in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months from now? These are the areas around the channels, as an example, straight through processing, an example. It has 2 sides of the coin. On one side, we need frictionless, smoother operations. On the other side, we also looking now the opportunity to combine and build on ecosystem-led products and services. That means banks are now looking at how quickly I can bundle something and I can offer it to my customer, which is more value-driven. So one side on the fence is cost, the other side is value. So I've given some examples there. More scrutiny around insurance coming into play, or demand-driven loans coming into play, micro insurance coming into play, and so as new wealth investments as well. So basically, there are 4 areas. If I am a startup, I would worry about at this stage and probably a year from now: cost, regulation, security, and growth. So I'll just probably build a bit of this in the next slide. So what I'm trying to say here is, if your solution is engineering focused, if it provides acceleration to digital transformation, if it helps to reduce complexity, then you are in. Or if your solution is focusing on new ways of working, or helping supporting workforce transformation, data and privacy requirements, then you are in. Or if your solution helps to plug in easily any of the ecosystem offers and services, and helps to build new streams of revenue, then you are in. So these are all the areas that are now increasingly coming into play. I will give you a couple of examples to bring it to life. So there is a startup which has converted itself from being training related software company to more about compliance driven software company. That means today this software startup can help me to detect the productivity measures of a remote workforce, etc. Similarly, there are a number of startup companies who are focusing on data related area as well. Data masking, additional data anonymization requirements, data virtualization requirements. All these are happening because in the new normal state, there's going to be increased pressure towards cyber security and data requirements. So if I just go to the last point or last slide that I would like to claim, if whichever area that you are focusing on, I would like to see that the area or the hypothesis for you to be successful as a startup basically looks at what are you trying to solve. So either it is impacting productivity, motivation, health and safety. It's primarily the people measure of the solution, or it is impacting the business side of the solution, particularly COVID, post-COVID situation, which is focusing on cost, compliance, and controls, or overall it is helping to grow top line. And if you apply these lenses against brand of a company or stakeholders, products and services, enterprise IT, data and compliance in any of these areas, then you have a great chance to capitalize on the current situation and be a front runner to face the new normal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sudhir. I guess that every slide would deserve 1 hour presentation, right? And you did it in a few minutes. Thank you so much. I would have a first question. This is the following. By the way, I'm inviting the participants to, to raise comments and questions. It will again feed the discussion with the different speakers. Sudhir, I think if we look at FinTech, usually they bring more often, new features, new experience, rather than looking at the costs, reducing cost side. Do you think that in this first period, post-COVID, we might have a wave of projects being done by banks, which are more looking at reducing costs rather than, extending, looking at the customer experience side?
It's a very important question, and really you are spot on, Philip. So first 30 days of COVID situation, or probably even 45 days, it was all about cost, all right? So because people were worried about what should I do to make it work, and worried about SLAs and breach and so on. But quickly now I can see that most of the clients are thinking about, okay, what should I do in the next 6 months, 12 months, and so on. Now, a couple of examples comes to my mind. There's a customer who is asking us to say, hey, look, I am okay with operational excellence because I've kept all the measures in place. Yes, I can improve, but I'm okay with that. Can you help me to streamline my loan process so that it is now straight through? Can you help me to onboard my customer faster because I'm struggling and I'm not? And part of the reason why it is extremely important also is most of the government funding has been now offered through banks as channel. Now, even if you look at US and otherwise, trillions of dollars of funding has gone into dispersing to customers. And if banks are not playing that smart, accelerated digital journeys, then it will not look good from retention perspective and as well as future growth perspective.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Now, my second and final one would be, did you bring the crystal ball as we asked you? Because the next question would be, what might be new ideas or generated by this post-COVID crisis in the fintech world, you know, in the relation with the bank? Do you have any, you know, feelings of what might be new because of that?
I would think you know, two main areas which I'm seeing there will be more. So obviously I see a lots of emphasis on data and security. So I think because in the new norm there is a little bit of nervousness of how will this work from home, remote work will apply, particularly for business critical applications which are very sensitive, both from regulatory perspective as well as from consumer data perspective. So if I am a fintech in the area of data, AI, security, then I would relook at my solution portfolio to make sure I capitalize on the current situation.
Point taken, thank you. And I guess the companies listen to that. So thank you so much, Sudhir, for this nice contribution. And now over to Elias.
Thank you, Philippe. Thank you, Sudhir. I think brilliant point that you brought, and it makes my life so easy. Next, please. Make my life so easy to continue with that, because here we are now all launching the Financial NewTech Challenge 2020. And let me give you here a few words that you need to understand. What is a financial new tech? Well, a financial new tech is the new names to replace all the names that we've been hearing. This is a fintech. Oh no, I'm not a fintech. I am an insurtech. No, I am not an insurtech. I'm a regtech. I am a data tech. I am a whatever tech. So in fact, for us, a financial new tech is a startup or a scale up providing a B2B solution for financial institution. So it doesn't need to be a fintech. It could be a data tech, but of which their solution would apply to a banking or an insurance. And that's our way to categorize, to bring you all together with us to make sure that we can encompass much broader than just saying the fintech or the insurtech. So what is the challenge about? So it's the opportunity for the financial new tech, now that you know who they are, and financial institution to meet, to showcase, to present what they do and what they do to enable effective collaboration. And IFMA and Capgemini came together for the last few years about this effective collaboration. And we created the FinTechVisor, which is a website that we are on as we speak, that is the platform for effective collaboration. It connects financial institutions and the financial new techs, fintech and other, to foster collaboration. And into today's event, we've been very privileged to have Finastra that joined us into creating this marketplace. We also have Finance Innovation and La Place Fintech, which are very good friends and a wonderful place in Paris that welcomes the whole ecosystem. And we want to make sure that all of us continue working together towards effective collaboration. Next, please. So now let's jump into it. And for the Financial New Tech Challenge, we have identified 4 categories: retail banking, payment, wealth management, and effective collaboration. We have got a huge interest by the ecosystem. 30 plus country has answered, 100 new tech have answered, 60 financial institutions have answered, 162 submission we have got. And today we have represented all the globe coming in, being Europe, Singapore, Switzerland, Israel, Germany, US, and so on. And in the coming next few minutes, we are going to share with you 7 winners. 1 startup and 1 scale up for each one of the 3 sector category: retail banking, payment, and wealth. And the most important one is 1 bank plus new tech couple in the effective collaboration. Next, please. So, and to make sure if you are all acting, if you are all awake, we're going to test you a little bit. And you must see on the screen now a poll where, let me read you the question. What does effective collaboration between a bank and the financial new tech mean to you? Does it mean a proof of concept, a joint press release, or a collaboration at scale that delivers an innovative customer experience? Please select the button and submit. And we're going to see how awake you are and how concrete if you have heard us so far. So we'll give it a few seconds, and anytime soon we will be telling you where we are. And in the meantime, just want to let you know that we have more than 40 countries represented, and we are reaching the 200 participants today. And please, as you answer, jump also on your Twitter chat and don't forget to add the FinTechVisor and the financial NewTech. And now let's stop the poll and let's see the results. Where do we stand on that? Well, I think you've heard it quite well. Effective collaboration is not a joint press release and is barely a proof of concept. I always say to the startup that I work with, if one of the clients come to you and say, let's do a POC, stand up and leave the room. If he says, I will pay you for the POC, stand up, leave the room, but say thank you. If he doesn't say, I will pay you, leave the room. We are not here to do proof of concept. We are here to do business at scale. And to make it work, we need to have the right tools for effective collaboration. So next, please. With no further ado, let's get into where we are now. And I hand it back to Philippe.
Yes, thank you, Elias. So I suggest we start indeed in the first category, retail banking, and we look at the startup now. So can we have the list of the 10 nominees that were selected 2 months ago? So you all can see the list. We have CBOT, Dreamatic AI, Fintel Labs, Future Rate Technologies, CDLK, It's Credit, Participe, PRM Finson, Risk, and Chimera Labs. And after a few seconds of suspense, I now suggest we get to the winner. Hey, Sandra, welcome and congratulations. Can you just unmute yourself? Yes.
Hi, Philippe. Thank you so much.
I'm sure you were telling me you were happy, right? How do you feel?
Yes, it's exciting. Thanks so much for the honor to be,
It is? Okay.
The appreciation in our domain.
Wonderful. So I suggest we take a few minutes to 5 minutes to deep dive in what Future Ray Technologies does and what kind of value proposition you have. So during those 5 minutes, I'm going to ask you, Sandra, to give relative short replies so that we can take many questions. And also I'm going to invite participants to make comments or raise questions through the chat section that will feed our discussion. So Sandra, why don't you start first by, telling us, giving us a few insights on the company and the value proposition?
Sure. So we're an innovator in strong customer authentication for end user applications and transaction signing. So of course, every financial institution is currently looking how to best implement the EBA within the European Union. And this is where we come into play. So we have a novel modular approach of doing it in a very seamless way.
Wonderful, thank you. Multi-factor authentication is something we've heard for so many years. So I'm just wondering, and this is a teasing question to get the best out of your reply, is what's different today than it was a few years ago, and what does your solution bring something really different?
I come back to something you said earlier, introduction. So a lot of corporates are currently struggling with costs. And I think we have the amazing technology capability that we can pair, on the one hand side, bringing the costs down. If you think that authentication causes mostly 50% of all support costs on average. So this is a major element because we make it so seamless. And on the other hand, it's speed to market. We can be very quickly in adjusting to new threats that come up in the payment security, so transaction signing or login area. And I think this speed paired with helping our customers to decrease costs on the support level for their customers is the big asset we have.
Okay, wonderful. So why don't you give us a few, customer names or specific project where there's something very interesting to know?
Yeah, I mean, we are privileged. We have some of the, I would say, incumbent partners and more of the modern partners. So we are excited. We're working with some stock exchanges or some very large retail banks across Europe. We work, for instance, with the Swiss Stock Exchange or with a largest retail bank from Spain, to give you some examples. But then we also, at the same time, work with neobanks, for instance, the largest robo-advisor of Europe, or one of the largest neobanks across the European continent. So it's a very, very interesting mix of customers.
How were you, when you started with the company, how were you welcomed by banks, being very serious on security and seeing, I guess, at that moment, a very small fintech coming to say, hey, I can do something for you in that?
It is really a big challenge, I'm honest with you, Philip. Especially in security, you need to prove that you can serve an infrastructure that is so critical in an organization. But again, I think initially it helped us a lot to have trust from our backgrounds. We have strong ties with a very renowned IT security department of university here in Switzerland. So this credibility helped us to get some kind of foot in the market. And then after, it was really also reputation. So referrals helped us a lot in the beginning to get a foot in the market.
Makes sense. So the country where you come from also gives some sense of security and confidence, right?
Absolutely. I think we are maybe not overselling ourselves from a cultural perspective, but we are definitely over-delivering on many areas.
I've always heard in my career, because I've been also in security a long time ago in the Belgian Bankers Association, and there was always a balance to find between ease of use and security. And I remember that one of the things we were hearing is that customers were not always convinced by this part of, ease of use. So that will be the final question for you, because we're reaching the 5 minutes. So do you think there's an evolution in this way of customers approaching and understanding the security?
Absolutely. I would say, especially when you think of consumers that are using services of traditional retail banks, they expect security. So they trust the brands that it is secure. On the other hand, they really expect also a usability of the big tech interactions that they have on a daily basis. And I think that's exactly where Future A comes in. That's our asset, that we compare the both. On the one hand side, really, we are security, we have security know-how that is able to very quickly jump on threat models and be able to address them. And on the other side, really create this seamless, painless touch points that users have with the services on all digital channels.
Great story, Sandra. Thank you so much. Congratulations again. And now I suggest we do a kind of virtual applause like that.
Thank you, Philip. I'm excited. Thanks a lot.
Enjoy the rest of the ceremony. And now over to Elias.
Thank you so much, Philippe, and congratulations, Sandra, again, to be our first winner. And now, in retail banking, we always talk about the startup and the scale-up. And the scale-up, these are the nominees, 10 nominees. And to give you some background, we have 40 scale-ups that presented for this category. They're coming from 22 markets. And on the winner that you see on the screen here, we have 7 markets represented. And with no further ado, not to delay it even more, because it's more than time to talk about it, the winner is... Congratulations! Congratulations, Antoine, and nice to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Elias. This is really great news for us.
And hope you are doing very well.
Yes, we're doing very well despite the coronavirus, of course.
Brilliant.
We're doing quite well, thank you.
Antoine, could you quickly help us understand how your solution differentiate in the marketplace?
Well, Flaminam, just to put it in a nutshell, we provide a KYC solution, for banks, but we're the only KYC solution today that is optimized for those who deal with corporate customers, such as private equity, investment banks, and also corporate banks. So we have an innovative and unique user interface that puts the shareholding graph at its center. That really makes it really very suitable for the due diligence of corporate customers. That's something tools on the market for KYC don't have yet. Today.
And let me ask you, Antoine, in current environment where we are all far away from each other, how your solution is helping your clients be more digital but delivering the same experience?
What happens today? Just if you look at the situation on the market, you have most of the major banks we talk to One of them told us that they spend up to 67 days to onboard a corporate customer, and they require minimum 9 interactions with, on average, to collect all the documents and the IDs and all this from the customers. That really is upsetting a lot to the customer. So what we do is that we help these banks cut down this these numbers, yeah, to the great satisfaction of their customers. They build a new relationship this way with their customer. To give you an example, during this coronavirus period, our major customer, which is BPI France, was commissioned by the government to provide special urgent credits to SMEs in despair. And they had to deal with huge numbers of requests, kind of an avalanche of requests from small SMEs, and they had to manage and adapt their KYC processes to be able to onboard these new requests and carry out due diligence on them. We've done it in record time for them, so they could now onboard it on the spot rather than in 67 days.
How long did it take to talk about this one? Because it's all about effective collaboration.
Yeah.
The COVID exploded in late February, early March. You got a call when, and when is it live?
Oh, well, if you look at what BPI France has published already, yeah, on their LinkedIn site, it took them 3 weeks. 3 weeks to build from scratch an entirely new banking offer for more than 50,000 sort of, I don't know how many, but tens of thousands of SMEs that are crying for help.
Fantastic.
So
3 weeks. 3 weeks is
3
usually
weeks.
It takes the time to sign an NDA usually.
Exactly, that's half the time of a proof of concept, if you want. Yeah, so
exactly.
it's been a record time. I mean, had we not been able to adapt and been agile with them, we couldn't have put this on the spot. I'm not the only one. We're only a part of the entire solution, of course. We only do the KYC process.
Fantastic. In current environment where we are seeing the government coming more and more into digital side of the world, digital currency, digital identity, and so on, you are at the heart of this ecosystem. What's next for you? How do you see us interacting with our financial institution next year?
Yeah, well, that's a big question, Eli. I mean, there are three questions in it. I mean, if you look at the market today, you touched on it. I mean, the new breakthroughs on the market, or let's say the disruptive technologies, will be around the EID, yeah, the digital identity, that will that will allow for shareable KYC documents, but it will never allow for shareable KYC risk scores, because this is not permitted by law. Yeah. So, but however, the way we see ourselves playing is we're gonna focus more and more on how we can provide better and better corporate tools for corporate due diligence. And we're talking, some people are talking now about not KYC, but KYN. That's know your network. Yeah, not only know your customer corporate, but know its entire ecosystem, i.e. its partners, its suppliers, its customers, its bankers, and so on. So we already do this, but we need to go further into a stronger scale.
Fantastic. Antoine, thank you so much for your time. And whenever the mail opens, you will be receiving the physical trophy. In the meantime, again, thank you so much for
you. Thank you. Thanks to the jury. We're really thrilled. We now know how happy the Oscar winners can be.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Antoine. The stage for you.
Thank you, Elias. And again, congratulations to Antoine. And I think he has a wonderful name to work in the banking sector, right? Mr. Risk. So let's get now to the next category, which is the payments. And I guess no one would wonder why we chose that category, because payment is indeed probably the first sector where there was disruption by fintech. If you only think of PayPal a long time ago, but also now big techs are getting into that. But before going further, I suggest we get to the poll. Thank you. It's going even a bit quicker than me. And I would like to ask you as participants, and again, as individual here, did you during COVID-19 crisis try a new payment provider? So I'm really insisting on the fact that this is a kind of personal, individual point of view. Please vote. And we're now waiting for the results. I guess it's gonna come in a few seconds. Can you show us the results, please? Okay, so interesting. We see there's something like a fourth of individuals who have changed of payment provider. I think this number is very significant, even if it's only 1/4. Because I think the elements that you get out of the payment chain or the payment product is combining, data, know your customer, customer behavior, risk behavior, and I think banks should really look at it more closely, because it's a risk of strong disruption. So thank you for looking at that at the question, and now over to Elias.
And Philippe, thank you so much for this. And interesting that we have seen that 25% have already tested somebody else during COVID. And for me, it says it all already, that while 75% remained with their provider, which is what we usually do, 25% are already looking on the other side. So if you look at the glass half empty or half full, we are in danger of being disrupted by new players. So talking about that, let's jump into the next slide and look at who are the nominees for the startup. And in the startup, we have here 10 nominees, as you could see. And to give you some statistics about it, they come from 9 markets. They come, and we had startups coming from all over the world. And when we did the payment selection, we had 20 other markets that showed up. Xalis, Cambris, Paybase, Nuggets, Insure, PT Wallis, OpenPay, Charlie India, Pledbini, Institute, and Monimo. And let's see who's the winner is today. Hi, Diana, how are you?
Hi, everybody, I'm very good.
Congratulations, we can't hear you.
You don't hear me? Now do you hear me better?
Fantastic. How are you
today? I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to have won this prize. Thanks a lot.
How is Paris today?
Paris, very sunny, getting progressively back to work, more people in the street, so better and better.
Fantastic. Dana, could you explain to us what Xalis does in a few words?
Okay, so Xalis is a neobank, meaning 100% mobile digital solution with a twofold environment, one for the children and one for the parent. So we really work on financial literacy. The idea was to say for grown-ups, there are more and more very high and sleek financial experiences, but the kids and the teenagers in France and in the European market were not that well served. So our aim was really to build and to provide those teenagers from 12 years old on with a full banking solution. They have their own card, their bank account, and everything is customized by the parent, because children remain children.
I like it. So talking about that, children remain children. So children are becoming more and more connected and more digital. What's next? And where Xalis comes to play into this future of interactions and payments?
No, so, indeed, you're right, Elias. What is very interesting is that 10 years ago, it would not have been relevant to build a solution like Xalis, because something like Xalis is today possible because 90 to 95% of the teenagers from 12 years old on, they already have smartphones. They have smartphones, they are connected, they are more and more implicated in the purchasing decisions of their parents. They are on the social network. So the idea was really to give them a tool of empowerment. And you know, like as of today, also this is a consequence of social networks. We are more and more in touch and in hand with different brands. So the idea was also to give them a way to be empowered and to be able from a younger age on to get better acquainted with money, to start making decisions, to start making choices in order to be more at ease around money when they grow up. So what is next? I think I see two things. Today in the European market, we are working with teenagers from 12 years old on. The first thing I see is that we are going to be in the coming years able to design and draft solutions for younger kids. This is definitely one direction I see. And the second one is what is very interesting. You know, when you talk about financial literacy, it's not only a question for teenagers, it's also a question for grown-ups. So the idea will be to be able to provide this kind of solutions to different type of populations, not only teenagers, but all people who do not feel at ease, be they elder people, be they less independent people, be they people who need to be accompanied and to be taken care of.
Fantastic. Which gets me to my last question is, so where do you see Xalis evolving to this question about literacy and inclusion?
Yes, what is very interesting, you know, people usually ask me the question because just to go a little bit back, Xalis means money in Senegal, in Wolof. I'm originally from West Africa, from Sub-Saharan Africa. So people, when I started the company, they thought that it was for the African market, you know, because the question was not only financial literacy for teenagers, but even more financial literacy for grown-ups, because the banking rates are very low. So we have like a huge market to tap on. To answer you, next steps I see for Xalis, the first one is really I would like to democratize this kind of solutions, because I think that the problematics we have here in Western European countries are the same that we have for our teenagers, be there in Asia, in Latin America, in Africa. So definitely I would like this kind of solutions to spread widely. And the second thing I would be very interested in is to start working on financial literacy for different type of populations. So more for grown-ups, for women, for entrepreneurs, for agricultures, to be really able to give different type of people some tools and to be more at ease around money.
Fantastic. Amazing, the dynamism that I see and the passion that you see. And by the way, I discovered one word about the meaning of Xalis.
You learned something.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you. Philippe, back to you.
Thank you. I'm delighted to follow up the replies from Diana. It's really great. Thank you so much. So let's look at the next category, which is payments Scalar. And you can see we have 10 different companies appearing there. You can read. They were from this time 6 different countries or regions, and I suggest we immediately look at the winner. Hey Pedro, welcome. We don't have any video from you. We only see your picture.
Hi Philippe.
Ah, that's better.
Yeah, I was just invited to rejoin the event. Great to be here.
So congratulations. So how do you feel?
Yeah, so quite happy actually for this recognition. I mean, we've been in the market for a good while. It's 9 years since we started drafting the solution, and it evolved a lot. So it's really great to see and to get this recognition already in the category of payments as a scale-up, which really means we are a more mature solution that is ready and has already been actively and successfully cooperating with financial institutions.
Yeah, good. Well, you look mature as well. So why don't you start first by telling us, you know, what's the company is doing? What is the value proposition, let's say?
Absolutely. So our solution is basically about creating an ecosystem for more efficient financial services by connecting retailers and financial institutions. So what does this mean? In very simple terms, we integrate retailers, supermarkets, hypermarkets with our APIs. And with that, convert their checkouts into physical branches and ATMs of banks to allow people to make deposits and withdrawals directly from their account as a white label solution.
Wow, this looks a bit like a great paradox, right? In the age where we look at more and more digitization, you suddenly replace partially the branches and you look for money that way.
Absolutely. So that is definitely one of the ways how we differentiate from the market. So our key product, although it's not the only one, is cash. So everyone is going into digital and everyone is going into cashless, and we do digital solutions for cash. Yes. Which is, from our perspective, and the market also proves that because we have successful cooperations with many different banks, people will still want to use cash, and we are here to serve those users and also find additional solutions which might serve people in the market.
There's only maybe in the Nordics where you might have less interest, right?
So it's not our key focus market, but we're always open for cooperations. Yeah,
of course. So give us some KPIs. You know, what are the figures we're talking about here? In terms of whatever, number of customers, number of point of sales, or whoever.
Yeah, okay, so we are a B2B. So right now we have the largest independent bank-independent payment infrastructure in Europe with close to 20,000 POS. And we process over €1 billion of transactions.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, and this is very, go ahead.
No, please.
And this, the amounts really depend on what type of service you're talking about. So if you're talking about a banking service, obviously you generate many withdrawals and deposits. If you're talking about bill payment, you generate less transactions, but of higher amounts. So it really depends.
Yeah. Very good. Can you share a bit, not the detail and the figures, but the concept about the revenue model that you have at via FinTech?
Yes, it's very simple. So we build our business based on the belief that resource sharing is the most efficient way to create an ecosystem. So what we do is we create this ecosystem with banks on the one side and with retailers on the other side. We charge the banks for every transaction that they do. And with that, we subsidize or we pay for our bills as via FinTech and also pay a share of that to retailers. So in the end, banks obviously save a lot of a big amount of money because our solution is much cheaper. And retailers not only get paid for the service they provide, they also get more traffic in store in a time where they're also fighting for attention against each other and against e-commerce players.
Okay, well, it makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
One of the things we know, we said it in the beginning, is how much the payment product is something where it brings a lot of value to the different stakeholders by bringing, you know, data, insights and everything. So how do you see these things when you look at the different options in the chain? And that will be my final question.
So can you repeat?
Yeah, the question will be, if you look at the different stakeholders of the chain where you're in, how can you make sure that you share, you know, all the insights from the data that you have from the customer?
Well, it's an interesting question because obviously, you know, data privacy is a very relevant thing in payments, right? So what we do know is we get a lot of information of what type of user goes for our solution, where and when payments are made. We can also connect because the transactions are done at retailers. We can also connect that with certain habits. So what time, what type of shop, etc. And that obviously gives us insights, which we are also able to leverage. Although our key is really generating transactions and creating a more efficient ecosystem for everyone involved.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Pedro. Congratulations. And I'm sure Elias will congratulate you as well.
Congratulations, Pedro. Well done for you. Thank you. Thank you. And now the third category that we want to discuss with you today is about wealth management, investment, and capital market. Why this category? Why have we chosen this one? Because we believe that retail banking has been disrupted. Payment has been significantly disrupted. The next one in line is wealth management. And in the latest World Wealth Report, we have identified the percentage of consumers that are willing to use a big tech for their wealth management. And I recommend you to go check the numbers, but please sit before you read the numbers, because you could be quite surprised by where we are here. So now I'll let Philippe.
Thank you, Elias. And again, we're looking at the 10 nominees. We had 9 different markets covered by those and a few very interesting things. So I let you read the 10 nominees yourself through the slides. And I'm now expecting that we announce who's the winner. Hey, Emmanuel, can you hear us? Can you unmute yourself? You are muted for the moment. We just, oh. You are unmuted. So you are muted, sorry. So you need to unmute yourself. And yeah, you see, that's technology. So, okay, there you are. So while you were trying that, I was saying congratulations, and I was thinking, like, how do you feel? But now, how do you feel, really?
Very, very interesting, because it's a very good news for us to have won this prize. Thank you very much.
It is. So let's take a few minutes to discover what Monuma is. And before we start, and I'd like to remind the participants that they can raise questions or make comments. This is always nice to feed the discussion we have with the winners. Manuel, first of all, can you explain what Monuma stands for? Because I don't think it's fully English comprehensive.
Yeah. Okay. Monuma, in 2 words, is a certified assets appraiser in your pocket. Our application umbrella is a plug-and-play solutions for banks and insurance looking for optimization and digital services for their clients. We talk about global services for all your life moments, everywhere in the world, 24/7. We talk about their specific goods and values, property, classic cars, diamonds, watches, paintings, and all work of art. Let me explain. There are different moments in your life you need something appraised. Okay, it could be engagement, wedding, moving, or inheritance. Today, when you ask your banks how it works, they say you need to call someone, and someone needs to come to your house to make the appraisal. It takes time, it's long, it's complex, and it's very bit old-fashioned. But with Umbrella, you can certify all your assets only with your mobile phone. Based on a blockchain system, Monuma and its application allows people to take authenticated photos immediately into the blockchain in order to prove their property and their goods, and to send the value estimation by our experts. Okay, there's human in Monuma. And it's fast, it's secured, it's world accepted, and it's reducing all costs. So in the past, you need to travel all around the world to protect and to secure your heritage. And in the past, only the rich and the famous people can secure and estimate their goods. But with Umbrella, anyone with a smartphone can benefit from the security and the certainty of having all their assets insured and applied. Our app is opening a new frontier for the wealth manager, a numeric certified cockpit for all valuable and arts in one click.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I was also asking what Monuma stands for, and I'll maybe help you on this. So it comes from monument, monument, then you have numérisation, which is digitization, then A for arts, right?
Yeah, it means you don't need to find your appraiser. He's in your pocket 24/7, and you have immediately the valuation and the authentication of the goods.
Very good. When I looked at it first, I thought that this would be limited to insurers and private banking. But as you said, it's for everyone now. So if I'm an individual and I want to use your service, how do I simply do?
It's very easy, because most of clients are B2B, but you can charge the application free and use like Amazon, pay an expertise, and you will have the result 72 hours after.
Okay, and how much does it cost? Can you share?
It's only for 50 euros for the valuation.
Okay, wow,
okay, it's a way to democratize this kind of services. And most of the time, the banks don't have the real value of the assets of the clients in terms of fine art and cultural goods. With our system, they can open the door to know what is inside and to help the clients maybe to sell the art or to buy a new one because you have the valuing in his pocket.
Yeah. So close to this very traditional thing, you also have the blockchain that's being used. Is that something that was important to have this very high-tech thing looking at some traditional markets?
It's a legal witness in a pocket. It means all the photos are certified, they can't be modified, and it's a legal witness in the pocket at the same time. We open the traceability for finance and luxury goods. Yeah.
Good. Well, next time I have my painting over there, I'll make a picture and I'll send it to you.
Perfect. You can send it to me.
Congratulations. Have a
Thank
great
you
day, and I'm sure Elias will be happy as well about that. Over to you.
Congratulations. Love Monima. We've been knowing you for some time and really quite happy that you have been selected by a global, by the way, this is a global, more than 50% participated in the selection. So you've been recognized by the European, but as well the Asian and the American judges. Well done for you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Perfect. And now the time has come to talk about scale up. And here I want to make the point about why scale up. So in fact, we believe Capgemini that startups are here to create good ideas and to make them happen. But scale up are the one that can take it to scale with the corporate. And for me, it's today a grand moment, a grand honor to have 10 scale up into the wealth management, investment and capital market coming from 4 different markets. We had, again, 25 people submitted to this category, and these 4 that we have here, One Wealth Place, Cosa Lens, Sesam, Action, Quill Messenger, Mode Finance, Raisin, Lingua Custodia, FFYN, and Wealth Dynamic playing into this category. And now, let's see who's the winner. And the winner is... Hey, Tamaz, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you. And thanks for the prize and for the winning. And thanks for the panel of the judges. We're very, very honored.
So it seems a deja vu when I interviewed you last year as well, because it happened that you have a bad tendency to win each time we do a wealth scale up.
And so first time it was subjective because I was allowed to speak and pitch. This time it seems to be more objective because we won even without my nice voice and picture.
Maybe by adding your voice and picture, you would have been in my place and me in yours. But congratulations, very well done here. Tamaz, could you tell us what Raisin does, other than buying banks, by the way, if I'm not wrong?
Sure. So the core of our business is we've built for all the European countries a platform which allows banks to partner in 2 ways. One is if they want to get retail or corporate funding from one of those banks, we deliver full service, including infrastructure, back-end services, front-end services, so that they can launch with us in any of the target European markets. Also including the UK, for example. So UK is one of our largest platforms in pound funding. That's a way for banks to partner with us to gather liquidity. So currently 95 banks do that through our platforms. And the other way to partner with us is to allow their customers in wealth management or private banking areas, but also in robo-advisory or PFM, to get access to third-party savings products, be it overnight notice accounts, term deposits, by integrating our API, which allows access to third parties with or without financial intermediation license. So there are different ways to interact. In this way, there are around 25 to 30 financial institutions, including, for example, N26, Nominees, Binext, Commerzbank, Hauck & Aufhäuser, Scalable Capital, which use our services to offer better experience to their customers.
That's what I love when I interview a scale-up. When you ask names, you give tier 1 names, this is what a scale-up is about, is the interaction. Let me ask you, Tamaz, with the COVID situation where people stayed at home and wanted to move into safe investment rather than risky one, have you seen an impact on your business, better, worse, and what?
So we have seen actually, so it's an interesting picture. We've seen a bit of a slowdown in client activity in March. And I think there are a couple of reasons. Main reason is in times of crisis, people have better things to do than think about how to put their money to work. Since April, we see again record levels, and it's driven by 2 factors. One is quite counterintuitively, but households have not been particularly stressed until now. At the same time, there are less ways to consume, so people put more money aside. So that, for example, in Germany, the savings ratio of disposable income has shot up to more than 17% in April. So that's one factor. The other factor is volatility on the capital markets has led to some outflows in March, so that we are profiting from that. On the other side, we also have our own robo-advisor product, which we also offer as a white label solution. So in that regard, wherever we win, we also see a bit of a loss, but overall, the platform is growing very well in the last 2 months.
What I'm hearing from you is the new normal is happening. People have settled and now are getting back into business and into investment, but more digital and more looking into options rather than knocking the door of their bank, which is, by the way, is quite closed.
That is completely true. So with branch infrastructure closed, or people perceiving its own danger actually to interact with branches in person, what we see is a real traffic increase on people searching for digital way to interacting with banks and to selecting the most suitable product for them.
You mentioned that you work with banks. I don't know if you can mention the names, but who are the tier 1 banks that works with you on your platform or that you serve them?
Sure. So we work with different countries with different banks. So for example, in Ireland, AIB is our partner since more than 5 years. In the UK, we have banks like Aldermore, ICICI, Oak North, on the receiving end of the funding. In Germany, we work with 2 subsidiaries of Societe Generale. We work with Grenke Bank, with Solaris. We work with Hoist Finance and Resource in Sweden, with LHV in Estonia, with Illimity in Italy. So it's a wide range of partners. Some of them are tier 1, some of them tier 2 and tier 3. More and more banks are joining the platform as we speak.
Fantastic, amazing. Thank you so much. And congratulations, Tamas, for winning that for the 2nd year with the EFMA Gemini challenges. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and all good things are 3, as I've learned.
Well done. Philippe, back to you.
Thank you. Well, Tamas, you know how to win 3rd time, right? So thank you so much, Elias. And now I suggest we get to the next category. And for this category, I will be helped in a way by Shirin Ben Said Bourgerie. Shirin, are you with us? Looking for you somewhere on screen. Shirin, can you unmute? Yeah, there you are. Now, can you also unmute yourself? This is done. So how are you?
Hi, Philippe. How are you?
Yeah, good. And you?
Good, thank you. I'm really excited to be here with you today, and also excited that Finastra is supporting the FMACAP Gemini NewTech Challenge, especially in this category.
Yeah, you do indeed. But first, I'd like to know what you think up to now, the winners you've heard. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, so the winners so far are really impressive, and I'm so excited to announce the winners for the for the collaboration category, because I think for me it's probably the most exciting one, as we will see couples of banks and fintechs working together.
Yeah, it's very nice to hear that, because you know at EFMA we are doing a conference called Bank plus Fintech, which exactly. So this is something we strongly believe in, and this is the initiative as well. So I leave you the floor now to get to that category.
Thank you. So maybe just briefly for people who don't know Finastra and why we are supporting this competition, and especially this category. Finastra, we are a technology company. We serve banks in different segments, and we really believe in collaboration. Collaboration is key for success, both banks and fintechs. And our tagline is actually collaborate to innovate. So it's not just words for us. We've heavily invested on the last couple of years on FusionFabric.cloud, which is our open development platform. And it's a way for us to bring in innovations from fintechs and newtechs faster to our customer base, which is thousands of banks and financial institutions globally. So we're really happy to support the competition today. We're also really happy to offer a $5,000 worth app validation fee for the winner of this category. And to share with you the nominees here. So as you can see in the slide, the 10 nominees, I won't go through the details, just wanted to share with you that we had actually 58 amazing applications across 24 different countries for this category. So it's really amazing numbers. What I would like to highlight, and I think is really interesting, is that is the diversity that we saw in the applications, especially if you look here to the list of nominees. First, the geographical diversity. We've got projects from Africa, Middle East, and Europe. Also the diversity in the technologies that they are using, the innovations that they've deployed with these projects, and also in their focus. So whether we saw projects about customer engagement, also climate change, others looking at how to serve better underserved customers, underbanked customers. So really a lot of exciting projects, and I think, by the way, that you can find them all on the FinTechVisor website.
Right.
Now maybe it's time to announce the winners.
It is.
So congratulations to Mashreq Bank and to MoEngage. I think we have today Yashwant Reddy, Chief Business Officer from MoEngage with us.
Thanks a lot, Shireen, and I'm delighted to accept this award on behalf of our partners Mashreq Neo as well as MoEngage. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Can you maybe start by telling us a bit more about your collaboration project?
Sure. Probably I'll just give you a quick context of who we are. So we are a customer engagement platform built from a completely mobile-first perspective. What we do is we help banks and financial institutions to, one, build a single view of customer, leveraging all the data from all the digital touch points, and use that data to engage with customers across a whole host of marketing channels, be it push notifications, email, SMS, and all of that. The core essence being, how do you drive digital adoption? By engaging with the users at the right time, through the right channel, with the right message. And that's where we partnered with Mashreq Neo, which is the first digital branchless bank launched by Mashreq, which is the oldest private bank in the Middle East region, to solve for two critical challenges, right? One was, how do we make the entire onboarding process absolutely seamless? Like, if it's a digital bank, I should be able to create a bank account in a matter of a couple of button clicks. Second, how do I increase the share of wallet, right? How do I drive more adoption of different products that are being offered as part of Mashreq Neo? So how do we drive the benefits and how do we drive the adoption of all of these features was the main project that we worked on with Neo.
Amazing. Can you maybe give us some more details on like how long the project lasts? And I know what was really amazing with your submission is like the KPIs that you were able to achieve. So can you share these with us as well?
Sure. So I think the engagement is about 15 to 16 months old now. So we started off on how do we drive the entire onboarding process to begin with. I think that's where we've seen close to 150 to 200% increase in the overall digital bank signups per se, people who used to drop off in the entire onboarding process. So we were very effective in driving that onboarding. And we were also very effective in driving the cross-category adoption, right? So how do you drive the adoption of debit cards? How do you drive the adoption of investment accounts? How do you drive the adoption of remittances, which is a big business from the Middle East, right? So that's where I guess we collaborated a lot more. And last but not the least, some of the numbers also include around how do you drive engagement with real-time offers and very personalized engagement inside the app itself. So based on your user profile, based on what you've been doing. So those are some of the things that we've done along with Neo.
Yeah, sounds amazing. How do you see now your solution or this project relevant to the current market situation?
Sure. So I think one of the things that inadvertently happened now is majority of the banking is now digital. The digital adoption is taking off big time. So a bank like Neo obviously is thriving in this situation. Obviously, I mean, there's not too much of spends happening, but the primary mode of interaction for most of these banks with their customers is digital, right? So I think that's where a solution like us, in conjunction with a partner like Neo, we're able to create wonders in terms of the customer delight. We're able to create that connection between the bank and the customer, even through a crisis like this.
Cool, sounds great. And where do you see your project evolving? What would be next for you?
Sure. So I think our vision has been to build one of the world's most trusted customer engagement platform, right? And to that extent, what we see this evolving to is completely moving away from rule-based marketing to a lot more predictive insights-based marketing. For instance, if I were to give you an insight like, hey, your CASA deposits have dropped by, say 20% in the last month, which of the users could have, caused this impact? So you could just immediately act on the platform, engage with the right set of users, find out which channel is the most optimum to reach out to the users. And in a world where, first-party data is going to be so much more critical, a platform like ours, which completely relies on first-party data, and only users who've opted in can possibly receive any communications. So it's really important to identify what's the most effective channel for communication, what's the most effective messaging for a customer, and what is that perfect time to reach out to a customer, right? So I think that's where we're evolving towards.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much, Shirin, and thanks.
I think we have a bit more time, so maybe if for questions, I don't want to ask you the question about competition, but what's really unique about you, and how do you think your project and maybe the collaboration story with Mashreq was really unique here?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest challenges that we see in the existing framework is all of these tools are siloed. They don't talk to each other. We're a platform which has been built completely from a mobile-first perspective, and at the same time, we're a one-stop solution which helps you build that one view of the customer across all the digital touch points, run any sorts of analytics, predictive analytics, identify where your users are dropping off, what kind of users are performing better, which kind of customers acquisition strategies are better, understand all of these insights and engage with the users across a whole host of channels, and then use this feedback loop to again analyze and engage, right? So it's a virtuous loop that we've built to act and engage. And at the same time, all of this is powered by machine learning. So we're constantly identifying a lot of optimizations that we can do for our customers. So essentially, if I were to summarize it, it's a one-stop shop for all things digital engagement and driving digital adoption, I would say.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot. And I'm really looking forward to future collaboration with you as well. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So
thank you so much.
Yash, for running this, and great that Mashreq is really fronting the innovation in the Middle East. And Shireen, thank you so much. Thank you so much for Finastra to support us into this important event of effective collaboration, and for the support that you are giving also to Mo Engage today. Thank you so much. Thank you to both.
Thank you.
And
thanks
now,
again.
guys,
thanks.
We've been together for more than an hour, and today in the event, on top of presenting the winners, we want to ask you a question. So here goes our third pool. Do you think that financial new tech will disappear after the COVID, lead the new banking, or help reshape the financial landscape? So take a few minutes to answer that. Do you think that as the new normal will not be with financial new techs? Do you think that the new normal will be no banks and only financial new tech will be the new bank? Or do you think that the financial new tech will help the financial service sector landscape rejuvenate? Last few seconds. And let's look at the results on what do you think you are? And with no doubt, it's all about collaboration. 85% of the answers is about financial new tech will help reshape the financial service landscape. And we do believe in that. And for us to contribute to this reshape, next please. Well, today it's a great moment for us, not only to announce the winners, but also to announce the Financial New Tech Watchlist 2020. And this Financial New Tech Watchlist 2020 are 100 financial new tech across the world that we believe will reshape the financial service landscape in the near future. And as we all know, what is a financial new tech by now is either a startup or a scale up. So in our 100, we have both of them. We'll have A financial new tech is a startup or a scale-up providing a B2B solution for financial institution across retail banking, payments, and wealth management. And now let's look at the selected under retail banking. And in the retail banking today, we have 52 startups and scale-ups. By the way, we have 39 scale-ups because at Capgemini and IFMA, we love scale-ups. We love scale-ups that are mature and that can take business at scale. So 39 scale-ups, 13 startups coming from across the world that are today part of our FinTech financial new tech watch list. Let's look now at the payment. And in the payment category, we have 26 scale-ups and startups. We have 10 startups, 16 scale-ups coming from around the world that we believe are the ones that will make the reshaping the business. And as you could see here, the winners that we have identified earlier on are part of these. And finally, let's look at the wealth sector. And the wealth sectors, these are the winners, and the winners are also 22, 10 startups, 12 scale-ups that will make the environment. So here overall, what do we have? We have 100 scale-ups and startups. We have 67 scale-ups, 33 startups. They are coming from across the world, Europe, a representation, of course, Americas, APAC, Middle East. Please go onto the FinTechVisor website. This list is available for all of you to look at it and to download it and to use it. These are the people that you want to partner with, and these are the potential players that could help you grow your business. So with that said, I think we're reaching a moment very important in our journey today where we've been together for quite some time, and I hand it back to Philippe.
Thank you, Elias. I think the watch list is something really great, and I look forward to seeing how it evolves with the year, because I guess we're going to do this every year, right?
This is only the beginning, indeed.
It is. It's only the beginning. I just would like to make a kind of recap after the 1 hour something we spent together. What do you think this COVID crisis will lead in terms of looking at collaboration between fintech and banks? Do you think it's going to accelerate it, or it's going to slow down because some banks might be afraid of some small fintech? Where do you see the evolution going there?
So I'm going to answer you just with an example. For the last 2 weeks, I've been talking logically to banks. And the most interesting sentence that I got hearing time after time is, it's amazing how before we were struggling. I talked to business people. I'm amazed, people has been telling me, we are amazed to see how before we were struggling to implement an eKYC or e-digital signature, because there will always be someone in the organization, the compliance, the IT, the this and that, would say yes, but. And now, well, everybody is looking forward for that. So I believe that the COVID situation will only accelerate a trend that has started, which is bring the digital into the front, so the bankers and the insurers can focus on the emotional contact, to focus on the advising and to take care of their customers.
I think it makes sense, and I see John saying yes also. Maybe you can join the discussion. You can join the discussion, John, but I think we've heard with a number of banks in our last webinar and council that even, in terms of regulation, compliance, banks start discussing with those to make it easier in some aspect, specifically to increase the kind of customer experience that you get there. John?
No, it's true. The virus has had a lot of negative connotations for humans around the world, and that's extremely sad. But from a financial services point of view, this has fast-tracked a lot of change that organizations have talked about for a long time. You talk to many financial organizations, and it's either the regulatory or the compliance, the sort of internal policemen often are the ones that people complain about controlling things at the pace of change. That has dramatically changed. In the space of just a few months, the world has been turned upside down in terms of this drive for digitization, and people are having to move faster now than they ever thought possible. So it wasn't a case of running faster. You need to run faster with roller skates on, quite honestly, just to keep up. And I think what we've seen today is a superb environment of some real quality presentations leading the way of change. And it's these organizations that are at the forefront of a new world of opportunity for financial services. Those will be major benefits for customers, but there's also going to be benefits for the surviving banks, because at the end of the day, my belief is not all the banks are going to survive. This was before the crisis, let alone the crisis itself. And I think the significant number of organizations will struggle, but those that are forward-thinking, fintech focused will be the survivors.
Very good. Elias.
I think it's the world is different, with no doubt. And one of the attendants mentioned very well, and I'm going to read exactly what he said, is innovation forced of necessity. No longer yes, but it's now yes, how. And I think it's said it very well. It's the perfect time for effective collaboration, and really around this hour and a half that we had today is really the main important message is applied innovation, effective collaboration, and partnerships. And we really hope that the FMA Capgemini collaboration, the FinTechVisor website, where you will be able to find the watch list, of course. And by the way, you can find a page on each one of the 100 that we have selected, is the way forward. So we really thank you so much, FMA, for hosting this event. And we thank all the people that has participated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. John, over to you. Final word.
Yes, let me just first of all say that, you know, from my perspective, it's been a real quality period of time. You know, when you go from a physical event to a digital event, you worry, you think, will it work? Will people listen? What's impressed me is the majority of people who joined at the beginning are still there at the end. So the sustainability with the attendees themselves, that says to me that they've been interested in what we've had to present. An environment that's talked about collaboration, which Elias has mentioned on more than one occasion between organizations. It's a diversity of ideas that have come forward as well, which has been superb. And I think for me, it's been a superb opportunity for us to present our ideas in a way which has been engaging. And that sometimes in a digital sense can be a bit of a challenge. But to me, the way it's been presented, the quality of the questions, the quality of the answers and the presentations have made it a worthwhile, useful period of people's time. I'd like to say special thanks to Elias and all the team at Capgemini for everything they've done. You know, the relationship we have with them is superb, and I hope we build on that from events such as this going forward. I'd like also to thank the FMA team, fronted here by Philippe, but there's a raft of people behind the scenes as well that make these things happen. So whilst he might be the face of it, the engine behind it is what actually makes these things happen. So appreciate all the input from those involved during today, but also to the participants. You, the customer, are the most important people. If we don't make these interesting, you will not return. And I think from the sort of webinar chat that I've been reading as it's been going along, there's a lot of people out there found it interesting. Build on that. Get to FinTechVisor. You know, FMA is keen to be driving forward insights, opportunities to share things which will help you in your business going forward. If we can do more, that's great. Let us know feedback directly. Really appreciate any feedback that comes from today. Thank you for your attendance. Safe journeys home, if that only means you've got to go from upstairs to downstairs in your house, or wherever it happens to be. So stay safe, and one last time, thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.
Good. And you know, the beauty of those online ceremonies is that we finish before time. We are 15 minutes ahead of schedule, which is great. So I think we can now greet everyone and say, stay safe and enjoy, right?